I'm Jo Peterson. I am the Chief Analyst at ClearTech Research, and I'm here today with ClearTech Loop in the know, on the move. I'm with Mr. Tom LaBonte, Chief Information Security Officer, North America for Saint-Gobain. How are you today, Tom?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. And thank you for giving me your time. So, in case folks don't know, ClearTech Loop is a focused podcast, and we're delivering sharp, real time insights at the intersection of cybersecurity, cloud, and AI security. And whether we're doing a short form or a deep dive, each episode is going to unpack the risks, realities, and the next big ideas reshaping the tech landscape. And we're going to ask each of the folks that join us 3 questions, because we want to sort of cut through the noise and get in front of the front lines, what's happening in transformation today. So from a CISO's perspective, Tom, how should you be thinking about cyber risk in terms of dollars and business impact?
Before I start with your question, let me just say those unfamiliar with Saint-Gobain, we're a leader in light and sustainable construction. The company's vision is to be the worldwide leader in light and sustainable construction. We currently design, manufacture, and distribute high-quality materials and professional services for the construction, mobility, and industrial marketplace around the globe. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'll also say I appreciate you having me on the show while I am the CISO of North America. The views expressed today, obviously, I'm an employee of Saint-Gobain, but they are my own. And hopefully I'll be able to go in depth as you would like. I have to be cautious about talking about some of these topics because we like to hold things close to the vest, as most companies do. So if you could ask me your question again, I'll do my best.
Of course, and thank you for that little bit of color. That was important. And I should have asked you about, a little bit about your role in your company. So thanks for filling in the blanks there. So from a CISO's perspective, and this is just thought leadership, guys, how should you be thinking about cyber risk in terms of dollars and business impact?
My opinion on that is cyber risk needs to be framed not just as a technical issue, but as a fundamental business issue around risk. It needs to be looked at in financial terms, obviously, but also impact to the company's operations, reputation, and competitive position. So I see 3 kind of major components there, and we don't have a lot of time. I think we could talk probably 8 hours just on this topic. But I think in financial terms, I think that from a cyber perspective, you have to look at things. What is the true cost of a breach? What is the financial loss from an incident? Are there any regulatory issues that you need to be concerned about? Internal, external, legal costs, and what are your overall remediation costs? And those can be expensive. During that time, what's the impact on the loss of revenue? The downtime, the disruption to the business operations, and really the customer trust and thought due to that impact, market impact, can have major negative investor sentiment moving forward and affect your stock price. There's also cyber insurance costs, which I think obviously I can't talk a lot about, but I'll just mention that. And then I'll talk about business impact. When I talk about business impact, one of the biggest things that I don't think is talked about enough is reputational damage. I think that reputational damage can far exceed any downtime or cost of the incident. I don't think it's considered. I think it can have a significant negative effect on the long-term branding. There's also regulatory and compliance risks. Hefty penalties. I don't think I need to go into that. There could be competitive disadvantages, and you start talking about losses of intellectual property, business strategies, and could give your competition a major edge, right? And then there are, I will call them operational stuff, for lack of a better term. You can halt your production, logistics, or customer service needs for weeks. And, how do you recover from that? And then aligning, I would say, investments, your security investments to or with your goals, your business goals. So when you start looking at risk-based budgeting, what does that mean? You're allocating investments based on your most critical risks, right? And the impact of mitigation. You need to look at your security incentives when you start doing cost benefit, not as expenses, but as like a strategy to reduce risk and cost and protect your revenue. And then the executives and board engagement. You need to remove geek speak and look at things in discussions in terms of business risk rather than technical discussions. I think that is probably, so to me, the two major things are reputational damage and talking common business language are just key to that first question.
I love that because so many people, you're right, so many people overlook the idea of reputational damage because they're not quite sure, I think, maybe how to quantify it.
Yes.
How much, and how much business did we lose, right, as a result of X sort of
Yes.
thing. And the thing is, and you make such a good point, consumers are savvier, and we're all consumers. Right? We understand now, maybe years ago, we didn't understand so much about a data breach. We'd see something come across the wire and we'd all be like, oh, but now we know what it means, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, and I think you kind of answered the second question in the first one, because you really talked about what it means to integrate that risk into the business's overall financial risk models. You touched on that really nicely. So I think we can move on to the third question, which if we didn't say AI in a podcast today, we would be, I think, banned from the world of tech. I'm fairly sure we would be. I'm not sure. But how should CISOs be thinking about AI adoption in terms of its use to secure not only emerging threats, but from an organizational governance perspective? So both sides of the coin.
Here is where you may not like my answers, but as I said when I started, I have to be very cognizant that I work for a corporation and I respect the boundaries that I was given discussing this. This is kind of, I would say, I'll answer in another way and then I'll get to your question. I am often surprised when I listen to podcasts and people are very open about their multi-layered defense in depth strategies. If you asked me about mine, I'd be very polite and tell you that I really can't discuss that because I can't help a threat actor build an attack model. And I would say the same thing with our AI. We take AI very seriously, and we have a team of executives, everyone from legal and business, IT, the data team, sit down at the table and talk about suggestions that the business brings. Hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Can I do this? I want to use this new software. Can I do this? What are the considerations that have to be made? Unfortunately, there were some boundaries put around what I could talk about today. And I think hopefully you would respect that part of those boundaries is we kind of want to protect that.
For sure.
And I'll give you an example, and I won't mention the company because I want to respect them. But recently in the news, there was some articles, I would say in the last several months, about someone, and this, I truly, in my role, if you said to me, what is the most important thing that you do? It's protecting someone from doing the wrong thing. helping them understand that while they think they may be doing the right thing, take the visors off and see the forest through the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask people to go out and look, because there's a pretty recent case in the past 14 to 18 months about someone at a major corporation downloading AI that was filled with malware and caused some significant issues. I feel for that person,
Mm-hmm.
but my thought is, where were the boundaries that were put in place to help that person, right? That's where I immediately go to. I am not the type of person I would say fault, blame over there. I say, where was the IT boundaries and the leadership and the HR boundaries to help people understand risk? How do you frame it? Here's what we do. Here's why it should be discussed. I wish I could go into details because I think you'd find it fascinating what we do, because it's a rather robust process. But I don't want to suggest it's intellectual property in a sense, but it's kind of what we do for our secret sauce because there's so much going on. I can talk a little about, because you had asked about some methodologies about risk. And I will tell you, just to get back to that I'm a big NIST guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like the framework. I think it provides robust guidelines for really looking and recovering from risk. It's not truly like a quantification framework, but it offers a very structured approach to evaluating, like helping to evaluate your overall risk maturity. And then you can integrate it, I think, obviously these take some work, into like your financial modeling to help assess like your overall risk platform. And that's why I like NIST. They really explain, some would say way too much, but you can get lost in some of their documents, very in depth. I'm still a NIST guy. I like what they've done. I think a lot of their frameworks are really good for people who are trying to learn or implement things, so you don't have to start from ground zero. I'm sorry, I feel bad, Joe, that I can't answer your question, but I hope you can respect why I can't in today's environment.
For sure. And, I think we're going to see, as people get more mature with AI, we're going to see folks answering the question the same way you did. So that's all good. And you gave us some great things to think about in terms of frameworks to look at, and the way you approach cyber risk and financial risk modeling. So thank you for taking time to visit today. And I really do appreciate your insights.
Well, I can't thank you enough for your insights. And I look forward to you reading more about what you have to say on LinkedIn. I love your posts. They're very insightful, but also humorous. And I think that's missing a lot from a lot of technical language, that if we can all just kind of sit back and agree that our jobs are very technical, that sometimes having fun is okay. I really appreciate you, Joe. Thank you so much. I hope you have a nice day.
Thank you so much.